This is a recording based around the text viewer function of the project, and I'll first of all do my usual and run straight through the images, straight through what it looks like first, and then go back and show the code that goes with it. A few of the developments are mostly code related, a couple of design changes which I think are for the better, and a couple of things that I'm going to change as I go through developing the slider bar. Now, here you can see the basic screen. Now, as you can see, when it first came up, it says loading because it draws from the XML database. I got around to organising this drop-down menu to load straight from the XML. Now, it does have this overlay here, not quite exactly how I'd like it, but I can fix that by just changing the alpha levels. It draws it from the database though, which was the main thing, and it does change them dynamically every single time, which is good. That was one of the changes. I decided to go back to this shape here, the edit bar, as it was called, because it seems to work now by centering this. So originally I was going to have the title next to it. Instead, I've got a title section up here. So if you go to, say, document 2 or document 1 again, and you scroll down, the title stays at the top. As well as if you need extra information, such as the author or the date, I added in this little feature, a little information feature, which I thought was a nice way to store this information rather than having it displayed at the top of the page as well. It comes out from the corner. It's probably a little bit slower on the video, but it just gives you the author, the date, and a short description, all of which is stored in the XML. And then it closes it again when you click it in. Also, if that's open, you click through to say the second or say the fifth document, it closes it. You can open it up again with new information. All test information still, because I've got a copy over my essays and a few other pieces to show the theme behind this. I've also got to write two of them, two short little stories, just to slot in there that are going to give some information that the others might not directly give the users, just to ensure that the users know exactly how to find the answers. Looks wise, I broke apart the scroll bar and the scroller into 3 segments. You've got the top segment, the middle segment, and the bottom segment. This is so that I can have the buttons, and again I'm using my same buttons as before, which keeps the whole whole united feel of everything. Design wise, I like the overlay. I like the fact that it actually matches my image editor. This loads as well. It's just a step upwards. Again, I built upon the code I used in the image viewer to do this. That works pretty much every time now. The arrows swap when you change. If you open one up, I'm not sure whether it's that's just the case of the title not disappearing properly when you swap over. Purely for the fact that its transparency level is not changed yet, because its transparency is on the main timeline. But yeah, the code behind this is quite a lot, strangely, more than I was expecting. I've used the same style with lots of embedded movie clips, with only a few differences in that I've tried to keep my arrows and things for this one on the top, so that they're easier to access. Let's go through to here. Right, a few of the main problems were with the scroll buttons. For some reason, the up arrow, being very slow at the moment, the up arrow here didn't work. So if you look down here, it's actually an instance of the arrow down button. It's rotated around. I'm not sure why it wasn't working, but I couldn't figure it out. I tried everything, and in the end, the graphic. This is supposed to be an artistic representation. It does the same thing. It looks exactly the same. It's just a name that's different. So I could have used that one arrow throughout everything, but I decided not to. The actions, though, the code for it is slightly more techy than maybe I should be doing for a BA, but if it gets done what I need to do. Lots have commented out code from testing various ways of populating my menu. And in the end, I managed to condense all of these if statements down into one for statement with an evaluation. As I say here, I'm still confused, sort of, between the different forms of evaluation between the bracketed tags and the evaluation tags. One being for variables, one being for text strings. The eval tag seems to only handle one variable and a text string, whereas the other one can handle more. But that works fine. I've got it down what we wanted to use in different locations. Create text populates my text areas, and then my arrow controls here with my scrolling system. Now, I don't like the way it scrolls. It's not a smooth scroll because it's using the built-in text scrolling function. Now, this is a problem I had with the aesthetic of the project, and one that I really wanted to try and hold through because I wanted to really bring forward smooth scrolling as part of the immersion to make it seem like a real product, because most products have this smooth scrolling feature. But for the text scrolling, it seems that it just doesn't want to do it, because I have to use a proper scrolling with the dynamic text, because static text, like on my email section, that worked fine with my smooth scroll. But dynamic text, it doesn't give me the option of expanding the text box with the text that's put in there. It wants to keep it a set size and then use the scrolling functions built in with ActionScript, which is why it does this. Now what that does is, it's very slow with the movie playing, is it's simply a gradient scroll. What it does is, it was longer originally, it just runs through scrolling by jumping by 3, 2, then 1 again, just to give it this a seemingly smooth. Again, it's a simulation of a simulation of a simulation, simulated dynamic, but the simulation itself is partially simulated because it's not really dynamic. It's just made to seem like it is dynamic. And then inside there, even more things are made to do things and look like they're doing things when in reality they're not. But I mean, that's part of the way the design works. The story is coming along nicely. I've managed to plan out how I'm going to link my images together, and the username and password I'm hoping to use are related, not quite to personal. I didn't want to use personal information. I don't want to give away my personal information in the project, but the way it's going to work is I'm going to have the images from the image viewer stored all in here, and the different albums are all going to give little pieces of information about where I've been. Whereas the images are where I've been, the text is what I've done, and the emails are what I'm going to do. And all three of those give an all-round image of me as a person, as well as various information about dates such as birthdays and things. I wanted to try and keep it semi-obvious. So if you look down to the text area here, you can see that it gives dates for all the authorships of files, and one of the text documents is going to be about my birthday, and the date will give my birthday, which will be part of the password for accessing the locked files, which in essence completes it. It's all about understanding the variables. The next step is to do this scroll bar, because at the moment the scroll bar on the slider bar, I'll point to what I'm explaining about once it publishes. At the moment it scrolls down and it scrolls up as well, but this bar here doesn't actually have a function. I'm debating whether or not I want to have it draggable or click and it just moves to show where you are in relation to the percentage of the document you've read. That's something I want to test tomorrow to see which fits better with a look at the design of the website. Even though it's not a website, look at the design of the program, and then I'll move on to the email client, and start laying out how I'm going to do that. I've got some ideas for this, and I'll run over those quickly while I'm here. If you ignore the document function there. I haven't worked out how to do links in XML to affect changes in other XML and ActionScript areas of the site, but I can have my contact lists as drop-down menus, so multiple drop-down menus per social, so the social group, the university group, the work group, all of those, you click on them and it's a drop-down menu with your contacts in. click on a contact, it gives you information on the contact. So each one of the contact area down here and the message area down here is sent, trash, that kind of thing. They won't change. They'll be the same all the way regardless of what you're reading. But information, content and notepad, they'll change. The notepad is going to be a text editor regardless, purely because I've already coded that. I want that to be included. And it's a feature that I think adds to the partially to the immersion. People expect an email client to have a notepad inside it now, some form of editing text. Even if people aren't going to be able to send emails, it shows that they've got makes them feel like they've got the ability to. It's all about the simulation, about making people believe they can affect change. Information will either give information about the contact you've listed or the message you're reading, and as well as information on attachments if you're reading an email, and the content is the content of the email itself. Now, the information, the content, and the notepad are going to use the very jumpy scroller that the text editor uses, and the contacts, messages, and saved can use the smooth scroll that the image function uses, and that really highlights the difference between smooth scrolling and simulated smooth scrolling, and that's what my evaluation is going to be discussing once I finish this off. Everything's actually going to plan now. It should be done in time. Tomorrow, as I said, is going to be finishing off the text editing with the scrolling down here, fixing the document bar there. Then I want to move on to adding in my little plus symbols for adding, as if you were to be able to add new content to your documents, even though they can't. And then lock the messenger system as well as the adding functions. Once that lock's in place, it's just a case of putting in the backbone for the email client and then populating it with the content. I'm going to try and put the images in tomorrow as well, though. So it's going to be a busy few days, but I think it should be worth the time spent. And I'll do another video once the image viewer and text editor are completed with fully populated databases, which for the documents is 12 and for the images is 6 albums with up to 25 images each. I'm not quite sure how I want to crop those down yet. Depends what is helping tell the story and what's simply there for looks. Thank you very much.